I'm not easily starstruck. I don't get overwhelmed when superstars walk into a room. But the first time I saw our first poet, I experienced what I can only call being verse-struck. While I was at AWP last year, I was roaming disoriented in the crowds, and a tall man came into my view. He looked so familiar. So I paused and looked dead into his face, trying to figure out if I had ever actually met him. I must have been staring because he too looked at me, and for a second we both exchanged that puzzled look that people get when they think they know each other. And then I realized I had no idea, I had never met this man at all. But I placed his familiar face. It was the same smiling face in the photos of books I have held dear. No, I had never actually met this tall stranger, but I knew his words well. This was the poet who wrote, "I too, having lost faith in language, have placed my faith in language." His are the poems that include Fan Mail to Michael Jackson, explorations of masculinity and identity. This was the poet who, for Robert Hayden, had the courage to ask the question all us poets want to know. Is this why you were quiet when other poets sang of the black man's beauty? Is this why you choked on the tonsil of Negro duty? Terrance Hayes is the author of 4 collections of poetry. He has been a recipient of many honors and awards, including fellowships from the National Endowment of the Arts and the Guggenheim Foundation. He won the 2001 National Poetry Series, a Whiting Writers Award, and in 2010, his latest collection won the National Book Award for Poetry. Of his work, one critic has written, "In a time when so many poems and poets are being divided between political and personal, Hayes walks the line between the two and makes it seem natural and effortless. I believe it is this ability to be public and private that reaches the humanity in all his readers. It is what allows complete strangers to believe that we know him. That we know him so personally that we want to walk up to him and start talking as if we've known him for years. His poetry is that compelling, familiar, and necessary." Please welcome Terrance Hayes.
Thank you for that introduction. So this is not, I don't think this is flirting, but I probably looked at you because you look like one of my ex-girlfriends. And it was in DC. What's she doing here for poetry? So thank you. That was very sweet. Get my timer going. If it goes off, that means I'm done. So you know, people will ask, they'll ask you, and they ask me a lot, you know, who is your audience when you're writing, who are you thinking of? And I typically say, and this is true, that my audience is whoever's in the room when I'm writing the poem, which would just be my shadow. So I have to drag it out, and I look back, it's there, and then that's what I have to sort of respond to. But you know, it's really, y'all, this is my audience. This is who I'm thinking of. That's connected to my shadow, that thing you have to sort of, that really shows itself in the light, you know, like it's right there behind me, it's connected to me, it's not me, but I can't shake it. So you're my audience. So I say that because I'm gonna read a bunch of new stuff, some old new stuff, and then some new stuff, like this first poem, which I've never read out. I think it's a Cave Canem poem. I was looking at it in the room and I was thinking, oh, this is like about Cave Canem. But it's also about me just sort of learning how to play spades. So it's called, We Should Make a Documentary About Spades. We should make a documentary about spades. And here is all we'll need. A card deck, quartets of sun people of the sort found in black college dormitories, some vintage music, indiscriminate intoxicants, hot wings, some paper, a writing utensil, a bottomless evening. We should explore the origins of a derogatory word like spade, as well as the word for feeling alone in polite company, and also the implications of calling someone who is not your brother or sister. So little is known of our past that we can make up damn near anything. When I say maybe slaves held spades tournaments on the anti-cruise ships bound for the colonies, you say, when our ancestors were cooped on those ships, they were not yet slaves. Our groundbreaking film should begin with the low-lit den in the Deep South and the deep-fried voice of somebody's grandmother holding smoke in her mouth as she says, "The two of diamonds trumps the two of spades in my house." And at some point, someone should tell the story where Jesus and the devil are spades partners traveling Midwestern inner cities. We should interview your Uncle Junior, and definitely my diabetic cousin Mary, and any black man sitting at a card table wearing shades. Who do you suppose would win if Booker T and MLK were matched against Du Bois and Malcolm X in a game of spades? You say, don't talk across the table. Pay attention to the suits being played. The object of the game is to communicate invisibly with your teammate. I should concentrate. Do you suppose we are here because we are lonely in some acute, diasporified way? This should be explored in our film about spades. Because it is one of the ways I am still learning what it means to be black, I am ready to master spades. 4 players bid a number of books. Each team adds the bids of the partners and the total number of the books, and the total is the number of books that team must try to win. Is that not right? This is a game that tests the boundary between mathematics and magic, if you ask me. A bid must be intuitive, like the itchiness of your upper lip before you sip strange whiskey. My mother did not drink, which is how I knew something was wrong with her. But she held a dry spot at the table when couples came to play. It's a scene from my history, but this probably should not be mentioned in our documentary about spades. Renege is akin to the word for the shame you feel watching someone else's humiliation. Slapping down a card must be as dramatic as hitting the face of a drum with the palm of your hand, not hitting the face of a drum with a drumstick. You say there may be the sort of outrage induced by liquor, trash talk, and poor strategy, but it will fade the way a watermark left on a table by a cold glass fades. I bet winning this sort of game makes us feel godly. I'm good and ready for whoever we're playing against tonight. I'm trying to imagine our enemy. I know you are not my enemy. You say there are no enemies in spades. Spades is a game our enemies do not play. So, gentle measures. I think I read this, last time I read this, I was reading with Natasha. So I'm still making little changes to it. I haven't like sent it out or anything. It is a Picha Kucha, Pachachka, you know, some of the poems that are in Light Ed. So it's long. I was hoping it won't take up all my time, but I'm gonna try it out here. So all I can say is, well, you know, when I met my dad and found out he had all these kids, I was telling Kyle about that. I just decided that for him, since he couldn't make art, because I think of him as an artistic person, he was making babies. So this sort of extends that metaphor. It's like you know, when you're making poems, you do have to sort of like birth them and then turn your back on them because you gotta make more poems. So, Gentle Measures, and here's the title comes from a book from 1871 by Jacob Abbott, and the whole name of the book is Gentle Measures in the Management and Training of the Young, or the Principles on which a firm parental authority may be established and maintained without violence or anger, and the right development of the moral and mental capacity be promoted by methods in harmony with the structure and characteristics of the juvenile mind. So it's just Gentle Measures, but that's the whole time. And I'm going to read it straight through. I'm not going to read the section titles. First, I would like to have with 248 women from the world's 248 nations, 248 children. Then I would like to abandon them. Wow. I know it's not that easy. But when I am home, I can't wait to get moving. And when I am moving, I can't wait to get home again. Part of me loves when I've got no place to be. For the occasion, she learns she will have no father. My Sri Lankan child will have to imagine, difficult as it is, the depth of history. How humanity endures because it is, at most, an idea. This scenario is also for my mother, flirting with the man twice her age, and for the lonely child in me. I will have a son named Hijinks, and a son named 44, and a son named Mary. Some of my sons will wear bags on their heads. Some of my sons will wait their whole lives to board an ark called American Beauty. Mothers, various retributions should be divvied in the light of each child's sins. My children will not always be godly. You have my permission to punish them as you would like to punish me. Your hands and knees must be bloody. I would like to abandon the child of a mother who dies in a Luxembourg train wreck, and a mother kidnapped by banana farmers in Belize, a mother taking refuge alone in a mountain cave during a Peruvian flood. Goddamn, I want to be as hardcore as my daddy. Thinking of me, 2 or 3 myths their brains devise will begin to divide in them. The tangible cells untangling themselves until my absence seems to recede. My children will not know me, but this is true of many things. Sometimes I want to catch the hand of a child and go, life, life, life. Sometimes I imagine an old naked woman waiting as her tub fills with water, or a knock-kneed girl using her face as a shield. But I will not claim to know other people's loneliness. When my Korean daughter falls for the man who dresses his lovers like dolls, I will not be there to say, being a doll is as close as a toy can come to slavery. I will not say, isn't it exciting? The noon teas, the personalized songs and cradling. Children, here are some of my favorite things. The tiny tongue painted inside a doll's tiny mouth. A phonograph record spinning like a girl in a black skirt. Also the family drawing one of you made, though the father in it looks nothing like me. My little Belgian boy in a hat decorated with buttons pulled from the shirt I left behind. My little Syrian girl with the shoebox waiting for birthday cards she will not receive. My farm boy with the tomatoes he tried selling to neighbors who wanted pears. I plan to never keep photographs of them. My mother had me when she was 16. The angle of her teeth, she could barely shut her mouth, may have been inherited from the father before he ran away. She told me, if a strange man ever appears at your door, kick him in his grin, baby. Kick him even if he begins to sing to you about me. I know I should defeat my enemies by turning them into family, but I don't know what family is. I don't know whether it's better to forgive or let yourself be forgiven eventually. My child with no one to teach her how to skin a Bolivian goat. My kindergartners in Kenya and Madagascar. My daughter whose boots will fail to warm her in the Ukrainian snow. Their lives will be better without me. This is a wish for the child sleeping in grass that has wilted a little, for the child lazing in the pool of a beachside hotel. This is for the child who overhears his mother cry into the phone, don't you put the bad mouth on me. Sometimes my prayers begin, darkness, is that you gnawing at my skull? Because that's one version of pain. I'm always like, angel, leave me the fuck alone. I'm like, blame it on the devil of longing. I have said I'm in love with beauty, but my heart is so mangled it spills blood on everything. In the high schools where the janitors speak French, in Swaziland and Switzerland, on the small islands where nuns show their knees, in the places the word for father means nothing to me, their lives would be better without me. I would like to leave you to the moody cruelty and nurture of your mother's children. to the complex rites and rituals of your countries, to God gazing like a cop on a bike, to cocoa and buzzards and crap inventions and the gospel of possibility. The bald-headed mother dreaming through cancer of the sprawl of highways and the wide open, wilder wilderness, the fluid, holy light she can put her hand through, the rain beating, I am, all over her body. It's got nothing to do with me. At each door, I want to slip on my shoes and say to each woman, do what you do, Mother Goose. And should one of you find me, children, I'll downright lie and snap, shadow, why do you follow me so? You don't need me to know what it is to be lonely. I won't look back. I won't look back at you. All right, so here's, God, give me these poems. These poems are crazy. All right, I'm gonna try this one too. This is also brand new. I think it's called Zombies for Life. Or Elegy with Zombies for Life, or Zombies for Life with an Elegy, something like that. Let me stop my watch. All right, so let me try this one. The trouble with living like thinking is feeling is it's not really living. I think, for example, these are good times. Save the mornings. I want to say, shame on you motherfuckers. To the motherfuckers trafficking homemade posters of baby death on the corner between my home and the cemetery that holds among its dead the bones of the great pianist Mary Lou Williams, the mother of jazz. Music was her child because she had no child. So y'all know Mary Lou Williams. Yes. I can go into her too, but I won't go into her head song, but that's where this is coming from. For Mother's Day, my children and I took my wife to Mary Lou's headstone, May 8th, 1910, May 28th, 1981. We found it unmoored and unattended on a hillside. People who say don't live in the past don't have a real sense of the past. Would you agree with that? Yeah. Life is not about what you learn really, but what you remember. I was once in a diner when I saw a young mother pass out with her face in her plate. I have been thinking about the horrified expression of her little boy as a waiter approached the booth. Near me, a lady in a business suit sighed, for that kind of woman, abortion should be free. Think about the theory that crime rates have declined since Roe versus Wade versus the theory that sexually transmitted diseases have increased. Think about identity versus ideology versus idiocy. The Center for Bioethical Reform versus the Centers for the Bio-Unethically Formed. The Center for Life and Hope versus the Center for Death and Despair. Because thinking is feeling, I think about death all the time. The food under my nails, the nails underfoot, the skullish sockets packed with dirt. Maybe the soul is tethered to the body like an embryo, even when the body is no longer alive. Maybe zombies will take over. Are you for the humans for life, the families for life, the armed forces for life, or are you for something else? I think there are as many versions of life as there are songs containing the words always and forever, or songs entitled Always and Forever, sung by the likes of Heatwave, Whistle, Luther Vandross, Johnny Mathis. These are the names I know. The implications of always for life struck me at precisely the moment it always came to an end. Because thinking is feeling, there are thousands of compartments and pigeonholes in my brain. There are unfinished polemics and porn flicks and utopian blueprints, court briefs, kissing booths, graphs riddled with black arrows, bygone dates and dates to come, philosophical theories like cruelty is a form of laziness, the usual wows and ows, the blood's banging blood, the things I've done, but there is only one version of death. It takes work to imagine the ineffable, which I think is the word for something that can't be effed up. The sanctimonious are worse than people who hate music. At this very moment, they are fighting about the order of things. They are fighting about the order of things we should value. Family, God, no, God, family, money, country. Would you agree with that? I can no longer grasp the logic of conflicts. In the pro-life versus pro-choice debate, for instance, it's the versus that's of interest to me. And this is real. Remember Fred Williamson saying to his friend turned nemesis at the end of Bucktown. Has anybody here ever seen Bucktown before with Fred Williamson? At the end of Bucktown, so I had to say that. So he just like, this guy's his boy, he brings him to town to help him get rid of like some white guys who have taken over the town. But as soon as they get rid of the white guys who have taken over the town, his boy decides, oh, I think I'm gonna take over the town. So suddenly now he's got to deal with his friend sort of into this new position. So at the end of the movie, remember Fred Williamson saying to his friend turned nemesis at the end of Bucktown, he just said to him right before the final scene, I don't want to kill you, I just want to beat the hell out of you. Which I love. Anyway, that's in the poem, I should have said that. I love the lovely restraint in that. Cruelty is pretty damn lazy, actually. It takes more effort to earn someone's love than it does to punch someone in the face. May you be punched in the face. May you weep until your nose is fat and crumpled as the hood of a child's raincoat. That's my curse for the self-righteous. That's the thug life for life in me. A formal self versus a self that wants to change. Cassius Clay versus Muhammad Ali, who said, a man who views the world the same at 50 as he did at 20 has wasted 30 years of his life. My friends often say to me, Terrance, you don't seem sad enough to be a proper adult. But I am sad, I laugh. I'm a modern man. I have never forgotten you, distant girlfriend, undressed amid the purple rain-soaked den of 1989 Columbia, South Carolina, an hour before school with a baby breath juvenile romantic on his knees perusing the very specific sweet spots of your anatomy. I have been thinking about what it means to go down on a lover for the first time in the most visceral, jaw-dropping sense. I have been thinking of the muse in the music that morning, the long-haired, dark-eyed prince with a raunchy mustache and a feminine falsetto. I wish our baby could have lived long enough to be both a woman and a man. Thinking is lazier than feeling sometimes. The trouble with thinking is feeling becomes little more than an idea. When people ask me what I'm going to do next in this life, I do not say I plan to write elegies for my unborn child, the baby in the barn, as Plath says at the end of Nick and the Candlestick. Imagine writing beautiful, horrifying motherhood poems for your child and then abandoning that child for death. They are pains of ice, a vice of knives, a piranha religion drinking its first communion out of my live toes. Imagine reading that spectacular sentence and then vaguely remembering your mother called you her little fish. Your lips might tremble as if you were trying to peck a ghost on the cheek. That's how a weeping child looks to me, like someone choking on air, like the recipient of a series of quick, stupefying smacks to the face. Come sit with me a little while, little man. Looks like your mama needs some rest. I should have said to the boy in the booth before he was taken away by the state. But I never said it. And now only the idea of him is left. One more, I'll just read this last one. The rose has teeth. I was trying to play the 12-bar blues with 2 bars. I was trying to fill the room with a shocked and awkward color. I was trying to limber your shuffle, the muscle wired to muscle. I wanted to be a lucid hammer. I was trying to play like the first mechanic asked to repair the first automobile. Once, piano, every man-made song could fit in your mouth. But I was trying to play Burial's Ghost Hardware. I was trying to play Steam and Sequins for Larry Levine without all the artificial bells and smoke. I was trying to play the sound of applause by trying to play the sound of rain. I was trying to mimic the stain on a bed, the sound of a woman's soft, contracting bellow, the answer to who I am. Before I trust the God who makes me rot, I trust you, piano. Something deathless fills your wood. Because I wanted to be invisible, I was trying to play like a woman blacker than an unpaid light bill, like a white boy lost in the snow. I wanted to be a ghost because the skull is just a few holes covered in meat. The skin has no teeth. I was trying to play the sound of a shattered window. I was trying to play what I felt singing in the mirror as a boy. I was trying to play what I overheard, the old questions, the hunger, the rattle of spines. The body that only loves what it can touch always turns to dust. What would a mother feel if her child sang, "Sometimes I feel like a motherless child too beautifully"? A hole has no teeth. A bird has no teeth. But you got teeth, piano. You make me high. You make me dance as only a sail can dance its ragged, assailable dance. You make me believe there is good in me. I was trying to play California Dreaming with Jose Feliciano's Wobble. I was trying to play it the way George Benson played it on the guitar his daddy made him at the end of the war. My lady, she dreams of Chicago. I was trying to play Muhammadu Bamba, like a band of Africans named after a tree. A tree has no teeth. A horn has no teeth. Don't chew, piano. Don't chew. Sing to me, you fine-ass lounging harp. You fancy engine doing other people's work. I was trying to play the sound of an empty house because that's how I get by when the darkness in my body starts to bleed. I was trying to play Autumn Leaves because that's what my lady's falling dress sounds like to me. Before you, piano, I was just a rap of knuckles on the windowsill. I'm filled with the sound of my lover's breathing, and only you can bring it out of me.